What if I told you emotions aren't real though?
They are though.
They're real to you. But
But
what
you
are
can,
they?
you can dominate your emotions.
Yes,
You
but
can
they
become the
don't
master of your
exist.
emotions. I think that's the biggest challenge in life.
I understand that, but emotions aren't really real. So
On a deeper level, nothing
Yeah.
is real.
Right, that's true.
You depend on your five senses in order for reality to exist.
More than that, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, you know what I'm saying. If you lose all your senses, reality is done for you.
That is just
You
so
are in complete
typically
darkness,
me. Yes.
and you cannot experiment. And I
interface.
feel like
you can't
only,
interface with reality.
Yeah, and you need that connection in order to create experiences and evolve.
Well, technically,
Unless you're like in complete darkness, and I don't know.
I think that was the
consciousness was going to still exist, but if you can taste food, if you can feel,
cannot, right?
if you cannot, yeah, then how would reality exist for you?
Well, it's.
I mean,
funny.
I would still be seeing you,
Right? I would just
but you'd be like,
I would just
I
be
don't know.
a closed out brain. But it's funny because I think that's what Descartes, the philosopher, who said, "I think, therefore I am."
Yeah.
That's actually how you suggested is how he reached this conclusion. If I remember correctly from philosophy class, that he starts taking away all these senses, and the only certainty that he could, after not having anything, like goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and the certainty that he could have is like he's thinking, therefore he must exist.
Right.
That's the what
But
happens.
if you're
here.
born without the senses, how can you ever think?
You probably can think somehow. It's interesting because if you have no input from the outside world, like, where do you learn language? How can you think without words? What is that?
Right.
You know, we always in our mind, our conversation is words, and it's a language. Even it's not just any language; it's whatever language you're more comfortable with. And if you can't see, then you can't create images, and you can't do these things and the other. So it's a catch-22 for sure. But I think that's kind of what he was alluding to the most basic stripping down of these elements is to just exist by way of thinking, because a rock will never know it exists, right?
The Rock,
A
Dwayne
rock.
Johnson.
The great a Dwayne Johnson will never know it exists. So it's more a philosophical conundrum than anything else.
Life is very complex,
What?
my friend.
Life is so simple. Just kidding. I don't have a follow-up for that.
See, another duality. Is it complex or is it simple? What's simplicity composed of? What's complexity mean? It's hard, but it's easy at the same time. What?
I just realized
What?
I didn't check focus. Are we in focus?
Yeah, we're in focus.
I hope I'm in focus. Are we in focus? It looks in focus.
Yeah, we're in focus.
Whee! Technology.
But yeah, man, I mean, it's been the past few months have been really crazy. I feel like I've been in a spiritual journey and some crazy things have happened since January. I would say I had to go to Brazil and be there for 2.5 months and then come back and deal with a bunch of different responsibilities, like finding a new place, dealing with relationships. You know, some things were just coming to light. Some revelations, you know,
From the book, right?
from the book, from the book of Arthur's life.
Arthur's Revelations.
Yeah, a lot of things reveal themselves to me, whether it was in my friendships or my relationship with my spirituality, with God, my religion. You know, I was never really a religious person, and I'm trying to walk that path now.
What drew you to that path?
I guess I felt a need to connect to to connect with my spirituality in a deeper level, and I felt I couldn't do that alone without a path or without a tool given to me. And I saw religion that way. That's okay. We're gonna give you a structure, like in everything in life needs a structure, like the chess game that I was talking about. You cannot become a master in chess without the rules. So you need to learn the rules first. If you don't know how to pray, how are you gonna talk to God? How are you gonna create that powerful energy? And how are you going to? I'm like creating a janky dama here. Kamehameha. But how are you going to create that context where you're going to be able to really make use of that tool and really connect? So my wife started going to church, and I started going to church with her, and I really liked the church. I really liked the people there, the energy. It's a Christian church, but I'm still finding that religious side in my life. But I felt like that, not just that, but other things that happened too, really helped me develop my spirituality and be in touch with the idea of the divine, and to truly acknowledge that idea, that existence to me. So a lot of things happened, and I'm like, too many coincidences, you know, perfect coincidences, like the one I told you yesterday.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, a couple days ago, something happened, and it really like took all the anxieties away, took all the angustia,
Anguish.
the anguish, yes, the anxieties, and the you know, like, there's another word for it.
Yeah, there's synonyms.
It's a suffering, you know, feeling like you're just
Well, you're in anguish. You're
living in fear, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I was living in fear, and somehow after this occasion that happened to me, it was to me it was a revelation. It was God was trying to talk to me somehow, and God talks to you through things and through nature, through people, and I never really believed that idea because I heard that before. And it happened to me in a magical way. I was like saved by the bell in a matter of 1 minute, literally, where I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't have a place to live. And because of this little thing that happened, I'm not going to go through the whole story here. Maybe I'll tell the story in a different podcast. But in a matter of 1 minute, I was able to get my apartment. And to me, it was a crucial moment because I was full of anxieties because I didn't have a place to live. And, you know, the context was, you know, it's a little more complicated than that, you know. And anyways, it was sort of like a beautiful moment where God gave me what I was asking for in a beautiful way. And I had heard this phrase before, God is never late. There's no time for God. And in my case, literally, that's what happened, you know. And I was able to get what I needed 1 minute after, you know, I received a notice saying that I wasn't going to be approved if I didn't get that thing. And I got it 1 minute after I received that notice. And it was very unlikely that I would get that at that precise moment. And after that, it was some visual stuff. I don't want to get into that.
Some effects.
People are going to say, nah, that's too much. But it was really it was a transcending experience for me. And I haven't had anxieties or fear of no sort in like the past few days after that happened. And I feel like it really it was like a confirmation that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was a skeptic. You know, I would pray, but I would always ask God to give me some sort of proof that he existed. I always tested God in a way. And that's, you know, sometimes God will give you, you know, that proof, or sometimes he won't. I don't know how it works, man, to be honest. I don't know. But I was always that person. I need to see it to believe. And I feel like God manifests itself differently for every person. But I got what I needed. And I'm faithful that it happened for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man.
Well, I'm happy you're not living in anxiety anymore.
No.
Or fear. That's very important.
I mean,
Life is hard as enough as it is.
There's just so much that we can control, to be honest. That we can, yeah.
So much.
The other percentage, you have to believe that there's something looking out for you there. That's going to fill out that gap that we cannot control. We have to do our part, of course. How do you walk your path with God? You know, there's certain rules that you need to follow. You know, certain values, certain principles. And those values, those principles, those tools that God gave us, it helps you become a better person. I truly feel that. It helps you conquer that fear. It helps you conquer that bestial or animalistic impulse, the let's say the instinctive side of us. That is also important, you know. You have to be able to be in touch with your
animal,
with your instinctive side, with your intuition, in a way. But you cannot become a slave to it.
A slave to intuition.
Yeah, because intuition is. I feel like intuition is fully emotional. You
But
get that hunch.
Is it?
You know?
What do you call? Is it flawed? Like your intuition can be wrong. Are you not allowed to? Because if it's right, and if it's always right, then
It's
why
a
wouldn't
hunch.
you
It's
follow
an
it?
intuition.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get that little feeling, something's off here, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes that's why you have to really know thyself. Because if you don't know yourself, it could be neuroticism, it could be a trauma, it could be anything. But your intuition. But how are you able to separate that? How are you able to separate fear from intuition? Oh, I have a bad feeling about this. This is my intuition. Or are you just afraid?
Well,
You know.
why would you be afraid? You know, people have fears for many, many reasons.
Yeah.
Why that situation would only arise if you're supposed to not be afraid of something because there's nothing to fear, but you still fear it, right? And then your intuition is wrong. But is it though? Maybe you were right all along. You never knew.
But that's a challenge too, right?
I guess, yeah.
How do you
to have
separate
an unbiased intuition?
Yeah. And my wife is really good at that.
At the unbiased
Being
intuition?
intuitive. A lot of times she said, I got this
Got a
feeling,
bad
I got this
feeling
hunch,
about
I got
this.
this feeling, I got this intuition. My intuition is telling me. Most of the time she was right. And I got to give
But what
that
happened
to her.
when she was not right?
What's that?
So most of the time, not all the time.
I don't remember I didn't count or I didn't keep track of it, but a lot of times it happened. But that's also part of being a woman. Oh yeah, women are much more in touch with their intuition than men because. But I think so because a lot of times, like this last occasion that I can remember of, she kept telling me her intuition was telling us that we had to move out of this place because it wasn't feeling right. And I kept trying to rationalize with her, like why it would be, it wouldn't be so smart to get out of that place until the situation itself, or even God, threw it to my face. And I was the one that actually gave the last word and said, no, we're out of here. Because at some point I kept denying it, and she kept telling me. At some point, so many bad things started happening that it was just too clear to me at the end, you know. And I was like, yeah, so we got to get out of here.
But wouldn't that be what? So it's kind of a catch-22, because what really made you follow through was the actual objectivity of the situation, which is based on rationale. So you can say, yeah, she was intuitive.
I could have stayed in that place.
Well, you could,
basically,
but...
I'll tell what happened. It was an apartment that we had recently moved into, and we were happy with it. Mm-hmm. But 2 weeks in, we had so many issues with maintenance, with administration. You know, the customer service, the management, with neighbors, and I kept thinking that, you know, these are normal things that happen, but it just kept happening, and we were just miserable in that place. But I kept trying to tell her that it wouldn't be the best idea to get out of, to break that lease, that contract. But she kept insisting, like, I feel like there's something, there's, you know, like, I don't feel good. My intuition is telling me that we should somehow get out of here. So I convinced her to stay. You know, I rationalized with her. I said, no, we should not leave right now. So what happened, I went to the office to try to, you know, to put a stop to all the bullshit and try to get the things done. Maintenance or whatever, parking. We had a bunch of issues.
Right.
The first thing the lady told me when I confronted her, that's the lady in the management office, the leasing office. The first thing she told me, she's like, oh, you know what? You're still in your tryout phase, because you guys have been here for, 2 weeks? You can get out of the lease right now if you want, without any extra cost. She didn't even try to solve my problems. She told me, if you want to get out of the lease, the contract, you can. And that to me was like, it was like God throwing at my face.
Right.
Saying, okay, Arthur, here, because I needed some more proof, you know? So God gave me the practical proof that I needed. And she basically gave me the papers on the spot. And I said, give me the papers. And I signed the papers. Right. In 2 days, we were out of there.
Right.
You know?
But
so
I would, yeah.
No, just to, I told the whole story just to prove a point that my wife, because she, you know, I feel like women in general, they're more in touch with their intuitive side. And I kept trying to rationalize the situation.
Hello, Woke Warriors, and thank you so much for watching until the end. Don't forget to hit the like button. We invite you to join the conversation by writing a comment down below. And if you want to watch more videos like this, go ahead and click the links on the screen. We post a new video every Wednesday, so click that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out. And we'll see you on the next one.